All right, coming up on Morning Call, if you worry about ID theft, you'll want to hear from a CEO who promises, get this, he's going to give you $1 million, and you have to buy his service. But if you do, and then your identity is stolen, you get $1 million.
He's that confident.
That confident. Coming up next, would you pay for protection from identity theft? And if you did and your ID got stolen, would you want to collect $1 million? We'll talk to the CEO of a company that promises you just that. It's next here on Morning Call. Did you know identity theft topped the Federal Trade Commission's list of consumer complaints for 2005? Over the past 5 years alone, more than 25 million people have become victims of identity theft. There are many companies out there offering identity theft protection. One is offering up to $1 million if their service fails. Todd Davis is Chief Executive Officer of LifeLock. He joins us from Phoenix. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning, Ted.
How does your service work, and how much does it cost?
You bet. Our service is the only one of its kind. It's $10 a month or $110 a year for an adult. We're the only service that proactively stops people's identities from being stolen. We go out and put fraud alerts with the 4 major bureaus. Everyone thinks about Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, but there's also one called Check Systems that works with bank accounts or depository accounts. When we place those fraud alerts on with the bureaus, they must contact you before they can do anything about pulling your credit. So before a credit card is issued, a cell phone, new utilities, they must contact you directly and confirm that it's you making that request. And if it's not you, you say no, and we stop that transaction dead in its tracks.
How many people are currently using your service, and how do you expect to grow the number? How are you marketing, basically?
You bet. A couple of different things. We have over 50,000 clients under contract over the first 6 months of signing up subscribers. We'll have well over 200,000+ clients in 2006. We market it both directly. People can go to our website at lifelock.com and sign up, or we have a network of both insurance agents and benefit administrators who will sell it to large employer groups or to people coming to them looking for something that will give them the peace of mind about identity theft, like a LifeLock will with our $1 million guarantee.
How much of this is just a matter of carelessness, and why are people doing things wrong? I'll give you a quick example. I have a power of attorney account on my mother, and I accidentally signed Ted David on it, which is not my legal name, and it should have been something else, and they put the check through. Somebody messed up there, didn't they?
Well, unfortunately, that is the case. Someone did mess up, but that happens a lot. It does, and unfortunately, people should be doing things like shredding their mail and being careful with their personal information. The problem is, it's such a growing crime. As you noted, the FTC, it's the 6th year in a row it's the fastest growing crime. And people that are trying to prevent themselves, we've got to make the information useless. And so you've got to go out and do these proactive measures like putting on these fraud alerts. When we do this, when we take a proactive measure, it makes the information useless to the thieves. That's why a company like ours can back it up with a $1 million guarantee.
Now, I'm going to get to that in a minute. I just want to ask you, shouldn't the banks and other creditors be held responsible, though, for that kind of thing?
They should, but we can't count on them. Unfortunately, the thieves get smarter between mistakes that are made, sloppiness that may be made by corporate America. There's already been 600,000 people that have had their data compromised by corporate America, and we're not even through January.
All right, how do you work this $1 million deal, and how do you prevent yourself from being taken for a ride from somebody purporting to have stolen, working in cahoots with somebody else and trying to rip you off?
Well, obviously we work and make sure there's not fraudulent charges, so it has to be a valid claim before someone. Now, once it is a valid claim, though, understand it's not just that we will reimburse up to the $1 million in losses. We will go fix the problem, period. When people think about identity theft, it's not just someone got a hold of your wallet and is using your credit card. People go to jail when other people use their identity and commit crimes. We would actually bail you out of jail, provide you legal assistance, and get your credit score back and credit report back to where it was beforehand.
Have you had to pay off yet?
Not once. In fact, listen, Ted, I'm so confident in our service because I know it works. I'll give you my Social Security number right now if you want it.
No, please. It makes me
I'll
nervous.
do it.
The point being that anybody tries to buy anything or do anything using your social and your name and your identification, they still would have to, you'd have to be contacted first before any purchase or any other kind of financial commitment would be made, correct?
Right. It's not every time you swipe your credit card to get gasoline at the gas station. It's when someone's trying to pull your credit report to get a new line of credit issued. They have to contact you. If you don't authorize the transaction, it will be stopped then. And people are going to, the thieves are going to move on to easier prey.
What prevents a person from setting up a shell identity as though they are you and then, you know, saying that they're you and then saying, yeah, I approve of that?
Well, they still have to have the personal information, the data. We make it hard. Look, you're 25 times more likely.
It's easy to get a date of birth, though. It's easy to get a date of birth and a social.
Absolutely, but you still then have to have a credit history. And the bureaus, while they don't make it easy, they do allow us to put on these fraud alerts that have people communicate to them. So for someone to steal your identity, they'd have to go through a lot of work. We make it significantly harder.
Anybody else out there competing with you?
Not at all. Anything else is after the fact, is just notifying you after you've become a victim. We're going to stop you from being a victim.
Interesting. Well, sir, pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining us. Todd Davis, CEO,
Thanks very much.
LifeLock from Phoenix. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ted.
I like that they say they fix the problem. They don't just say, oh, well, here's some money to
It still made me nervous
reimburse.
that he wanted to give his Social Security number.
Don't do that.
Please, no.